Janet, we are going to welcome our next reader, Sandra Ronzik-Popik. And Sandra holds a master's degree in business administration, as well as a master's certificate in financial services leadership from the Schulich School of Business. With over 20 years experience and holding several vice president roles across the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, also known as CIBC, Sandra was appointed to the role of Vice President of Talent Acquisition. Sandra is passionate about promoting inclusion and diversity. And one cool thing about Sandra is that in the year 2000, she led one of 4 Canadian teams to a successful finish of a 12-day Eco Challenge expedition race in Borneo, Malaysia. Now, I think I've seen video clips of this, and it is one of the most grueling experiences out there. Sandra's story falls under the quality of compassion and is entitled Making It Personal. I'm going to hand it over to you, Sandra. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carolyn, for the opportunity. And as I get into the story, I just want to say a big heartfelt thank you to Colleen. Colleen, thank you for your vision. I shared this with Colleen recently. When Colleen first reached out to me with the idea of writing a story for this book, I have to admit and say, when I first got that email, I looked at it and I thought 2 things. One was, I don't have time to write a story. And the second one was, and even if I did, what would I possibly write about? And I promptly proceeded to delete Colleen's email. And it wasn't until a couple of weeks later that another colleague of mine reached out to me to ask me to proofread her story that she was writing for the book, that I kind of did a second take to say, why did I dismiss this idea so quickly? And realize that, at the end of the day, we have time for what we make time for. And sometimes we perhaps just don't take the moment to uncover what stories we have on and what we can share. So Colleen, thank you for your vision and for making this come to life. And so my story is in the section on compassion. I will read it to you out of the hard copy. It's actually nice to hold a physical book in my hand. We do so much digital interaction these days. So the story is called Making It Personal. Drive, focus, goals, results. These are just some of many business imperatives, just some of the many critical elements of future success. But how about kindness, caring, and being personal? I used to be and continue to be very results focused. While I see that as important, I have learned that work is not just about what we do, it's also about how we do it. And 2 particularly defining moments in my career helped me realize how critical the human element is in everything that we do. The first came fairly early on when a colleague pulled me aside to share some feedback. I didn't think he had enough of a chance to see me in action, so I was a little skeptical. However, I had always held him in high regard and was appreciative that he wanted to connect. All I remember from our entire conversation was him saying, people are sometimes intimidated by you. You don't have to be all business all the time. My initial inner reaction was, you bet I'm all business all the time. That's how I get results. That's how I get things done. That's a good thing, isn't it? I went home that day and actually had to think about whether he was praising me for my focused and results-oriented style or giving me constructive feedback on how to do things better. I didn't get it. All business all the time was so ingrained in my mind and my approach that I didn't even think about how that may have been coming across. But after some reflection, I understood. The minute people arrived at one of my meetings, I would go straight to the business at hand. No time wasted with, how was your weekend? How was your family? In retrospect, I could have certainly taken a moment to ask such questions. Because don't get me wrong, I had always sincerely cared about people I worked with. It's just that I was too focused on efficiently getting to business. It took this feedback to realize that I wasn't always projecting my true desire for connection and maintained too big of a separation between business and personal. We need people to support us, to work with us to achieve common goals. That can be done effectively only if we genuinely care about them and if we show we care through our words and our actions. I'm certainly glad that I got this lesson so early in my career. The other moment came when my VP at the time said something that made me stop and really think. I was explaining a rather complex business challenge, something that involved consulting multiple business partners, synthesizing key facts, pulling out the most critical figures, and outlining options, implications, and recommendations. I mentioned that I had responded to one of our more contrarian business partners with, "It's nothing personal, it's just business." My manager stopped me mid sentence and said slowly and clearly, "Sandra, it's all personal." I paused. I reflected. This is not where I had been expecting our conversation to go. Perhaps I even expected to be praised for the great job I had done managing the complex issue. But my whole approach was being challenged. Of course, I realized he was right. How could have I not seen it? I was dealing with people. Everything we do is about people. How could it not be personal? It was this short, quick comment that completely altered how I look at work. It's essential that we remember the human element behind everything we do and not be afraid to make it personal. While drive, focus, goals, and results are all critical components of our business lives, so is the underlying, non compromising element of being human. We can't lose our humanity in the world of business. And as our CEO, Victor Dodik, once said, "Don't leave your hearts at home when you come to work." The only way we can inspire the hearts and minds of our teams is by taking the time to be kind and caring. So go ahead, make it personal.
Wow.